Welcome back to Slothbox. This video is sponsored by Excelsior Sporting Club. I'm Linda Dixon, and we're joined today by Emma Dolan. Emma, how are you, mate?
Very well. How are you?
Yeah, I'm not too bad. Because it's the first time we're speaking, I want to go right back to the start. How did you initially get into boxing?
Initially, through my brother, really. He started boxing because my dad took him to the gym, and then they were going Tuesdays and Thursdays, and I was left at home thinking, oh, a bit left out. So I started to go up there and watch, and I watched for about 2 or 3 weeks. I was quite nervous, and then one day, one of the coaches, Steve Garner, pulled me around the side and sort of took me on the pads. I just fell in love with it and never really stopped then.
Mm. So from moments like that, like watching your brother and feeling a bit shy, like to now you're Commonwealth champion. But before we get into that, that's just crazy. But before we get into that, what was the amateur experience like, if there was much of it?
Yeah, the amateurs were good. I was just shy of 50 bouts as an amateur. I was a bit
Mm.
gutted. I wanted to be, but I got 49, and then sort of COVID come along and sort of ended that really. There was no sort of amateur boxing for a little bit, so I decided to make the move to turn pro. But I had a good amateur career really. I enjoyed it. I boxed for England. I was lucky enough to sort of represent my country in that on a few occasions, and yeah, I was pretty. Looking back now, I was quite happy with my sort of amateur career. At the time, you think, oh, I was going to do better, and I wanted to make the GB team, make this, but I made the England team to represent my country, and not many people do that, and got valuable experience and a lot of sort of bouts abroad and stuff like that. So
Mm.
yeah, I was happy with it.
Yeah, that sounds incredible. But from those amateurs to that pro debut, I think you made it against another woman making her debut in Norwich. I mean, not every. I mean, you only get your debut once. How was that debut?
That was unreal, to be fair, because
Mm.
my last amateur gym was in London. So a lot of my fights, to be fair, most of my amateur fights were outside Norfolk because not loads happens around Norfolk, and
Yeah,
you
I know.
know, like I don't know, maybe 10 years. So like having my debut in Norfolk with all my friends and family there. I mean, most of my mates never seen me box before, and yeah, it was brilliant. And then obviously the fight went the way it did, so it was a great night.
Perfect. I mean, you've come a long way since that debut, and I'm sure. I mean, just looking at your Instagram, you've sparred some top pros in the game now. But I was just wondering, like, not necessarily who's the best, because I guess it'd be hard to pick. But what spars have you enjoyed the most against some of those top pros?
Yeah, I mean, some brilliant, brilliant people. I mean, obviously going down sparring Nicola Adams at the Ingle gym. I mean, that was a good spar because at the time, sort of, I was like a amateur still, and she was obviously two-time Olympic champion, and just being in there was enough. And I done all right when I was in there as well. Don't get me wrong, she's on the slide then. She's about 30 odd, but I was
Mm,
quite happy with her. Yeah, it was amazing to be in the ring with somebody like that.
mm. How did it feel like? Did you feel nervous? Because obviously, like Nicola Adams, being a female boxer, she must be like an idol to you. So, was you a bit nervous like before you got in the ring?
Tell you what, I wasn't really that nervous because I got there and she was running fair enough, but she's probably about an hour late. She got to the gym and I was getting a bit impatient and that,
Mm.
quite keen to get in there, and I got in there, and yeah, it probably brought the best out of me because she was, I knew she was good, so I was sort of up for it. But no, not so much nervous. Everybody deals with nerves in different ways, don't they? And I was just sparring at the end of the day. So if I went there, I knew if I went there and had a bit of a boxing lesson off, or at least I was going to learn something out of it. So yeah.
But now, fast forward 2 years, I mean, from your debut, fast forward 2 years, you're 5-0. What's the journey been like so far? Are you happy with everything so far, or are you still,
Yeah,
eager to improve?
yeah. So like people have been like over the moon for me, obviously for winning this title, but like I've been happy, don't get me wrong, but I haven't really let it settle in too much because this is sort of just like the first real step into where I want to be and where I want to go. So, I'm obviously happy with it, but I'm not like too happy because this is just the beginning. I want to move on and win more titles and step up the ladder even more, and obviously get to the very top of the sport.
Mm. But let's talk about that title that you did win. It was last time out, the super flyweight Commonwealth title. That's a great first belt to put on your shelf. Talk to me about that night. Like, what was it having that? What did it feel like having that belt put around your waist?
Yeah, it's phenomenal. I mean, it was so many it was my first fight with my now trainer and manager, Carl Greaves, so it wasn't too bad, was it, for our first fight together? Uh, yeah, it was an unbelievable night. I mean, it was my first fight in 10 months, and like I say, my first fight with Carl and the team and everybody, and I was over the moon. I was over the moon to one get the fight. Get the Commonwealth title fight. 'Cause it wasn't an easy fight to sort of get made and that because the belt hadn't been contested for before. So Carl put a lot on the line for that, and we got it. And I trained so hard, and getting in the ring after 10 months off, straight into a title fight, no fights, no nothing, and I done the business and I cried my eyes out. I was so happy. It was brilliant, brilliant night.
Mm. But that's the thing is you did the business, but I was looking at BoxRec and the opponent you was in, was 21 fights, 50-50 record. Like you say, you was 10 months out and it was not an easy fight to be chucked in. First one with your new trainer and manager, but did you just feel like it clicked on the night, especially with Carl, being the first fight with him?
Yeah, I just thought everything. I mean, we've done probably about 120 rounds sparring together. I know sparring isn't like a fight, but still, I was confident with him. I like how he is in the corner. I like how he breaks things down, like tactic wise and stuff. And once we were in there, we just gelled like we do in the gym and stuff. And it was brilliant. Yeah, it took me a few rounds to get going, knock the rest off, but once a really good fight. And Halima was there all the way. She was a hard woman, and obviously she was 28, so she's in her prime, and she's coming off a knockout win her last fight a few months back. She was well up for it, but I knew the boxing ability to get on top of her, and that prevailed at the end.
Exactly. But moving on from yourself a little bit, I mean, in parallel with your career, women's boxing in the past 2 years, 3 years has come on so much, and we've seen some cracking fights. But the next cracking fight we're going to see is Taylor against Cameron. Are you excited for that? And how do you see it going?
I don't know. Like, I love Katie Taylor. You talk about inspirations. I think she's amazing. Like, women's boxing would be where it is without her. But I know she's going to be at home, so she's got that going for her, and she has got a phenomenal hand speed and work rate. But I think going up in weight against someone who's in their prime like Chantel Cameron, it's going to be a big ask. But if anybody can beat Chantel, she's on a great run. It'll be Katie. So I don't know. I'm going to sit on the fence for that one, but it'll be a great fight.
I spoke to Nina Hughes the other day, and she said something similar to you, but it was the other way around. If anyone can beat Katie, it's Chantel.
Yeah,
And I just
true,
feel
yeah.
like with Chantel's going to Katie's backyard. Do you feel like that big Irish crowd will maybe get to her a little bit, or do you think she'll handle that?
No, I think with the way Chantel is, I think that will spur her on. I think certain fighters probably might crumble under that kind of pressure, and then certain fighters it brings the best out of them. So I think that will just spur her on more. I think the sort of booing and that will give her a kick up the arse to really do a dominant job. But I mean, it's gonna be a brilliant fight. We just watched Taylor Serrano, and that was a fantastic fight, wasn't it? So I think we're due another sort of one like that.
But back to you, I feel like that last win's like set the precedent now. Like especially first fight with Carl. What's next? And that's my next question for you, Emma Dolan. What is next?
Next, I'd like to defend the belt domestically, and that's what we're working on at the minute, getting a defence in with another British prospect. Just because it'd be a nice thing to do, wouldn't it? Yeah, it'd be nice to defend the belt. Have another, get some more rounds in, get a bit more experience, and go from there. And then I'd like to push for a European title. I watched Gangloff against Sylvia the other day, and they done well. They're both good fighters. It's another step up in class. But I would, I'd fancy the fight for the European title. I watched them. I watched the fight a couple of times. And I think, definitely, I'll have another fight now, defend the belt, get through that, and I'd definitely fancy my chance in the European title fight and move up the ladder again.
Well, that sort of brings me on to my last question. Like you're talking about more titles. Is that where you see yourself come the end of the year with more titles added to your collection?
That's where definitely in my own mind where I want to be. Obviously I have a chat with Carl and everything about it, but as a team, that's where we want to be. We want to be pushing up the ladder. We don't want to sort of, you get people who are quite happy sort of going in there and fighting girls or boys, but mainly in the women's you watch, there's a lot of sort of journey women or like higher up journey women that they can go in and do 6 rounders with and look unbelievable with. you know, I could have done that just now in March, but I thought, no, I want to push myself. I know where I want to be. You know, a lot of people say, I want to be world champion. You're never going to be world champion, keep fighting six rounders against nobodies. You know,
Mm,
you've got to put the fights in, you've got to take risks, and you've got to step up the ladder. And from now on, I don't really want any easy fights. I want to be continuously stepping up. So, yeah, for me, definitely, I want to defend my belt against another, you know, undefeated prospect,
mm,
step up again, because that's the only way you're going to get to the top, isn't it?
exactly. Well, being from Norfolk myself, I can't wait to see it. But anyway, it's been a pleasure speaking to you. I've been Lyndon Dixon. She's been Emma Dolan, and we'll see you on the next one.
Nice one. Thank you.
Cheers.